What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Jay Rich, back to talk some NBA props over on PrizePicks for November the 12th. Today, of course, we have to start with the recap. We have to talk about how Karl-Anthony Towns sold hard, only getting 26 minutes and fouling out versus the Memphis Grizzlies last night. And Jared Allen did not get over his 26.5 points, rebounds, and assists because Donovan Mitchell decided to be Magic Johnson taking on Steph Curry and the Golden State Warriors. Unfortunately, did not get it done, but did go over his points. We also talked about Devin Vassell over his points, rebounds, and assists in the comments. He did not hit that in the first half, but he did score his points in the second half. So if you took that one, you were pretty happy with that. Kevin Huerter, I talked about that over versus the Lakers. He did end up hitting his over. Desmond Bane also hit his over. So some plays we talked about, but they weren't core plays, so we're going to take a ton of credit for it. The main ones we targeted, nothing. So we're back again today. We have some more plays, some more bets, and let's talk about some of the things I'm looking at heading into the slate tonight. For all the high-flying action, take a step back and relax. It's time to count that money, the NBA props. No look any further. You know what time it is. Presented by PrizePicks, NBA props. Let's count that money, man. All right, so let's get into the model and let's see kind of the players I'm targeting right now and why. So right off the bat, you see right at the top of the list here is Jordan Clarkson. He's someone who has been extremely consistent over the last 4 games. Now, unfortunately, DraftKings is not giving us the same value that PrizePicks is. So PrizePicks has bumped his line up. He has hit 20 points in each of his last 5 games. He's also been very consistent when you talk about his points plus rebounds and his points plus assists. The best line on the books right now, in my opinion, based off the value that I've seen, is the points and rebounds. He's hitting that number very consistently. It's only 23.5. I don't think PrizePicks is going to give it to us. The points, rebounds, and assists, it's okay, right? You can see right now it's juiced to the under at 27.5, but he has been averaging 31.6 with a standard deviation of 2.1. So over the last few games, he has been very consistent. He's been scoring and getting around 30 for the points, rebounds, and assists. For the points plus rebounds, he's been around 27, very consistent. And like I've talked about, he's scored 20 points in each of the last 5 games. So it is a good spot. The matchup is okay. Bradley Beal is not going to be in this one. Even though he has cleared COVID protocols, he will be taking time to get his conditioning back up to snuff, so do not expect to see him in this matchup. Again, on the books, I kind of like it if you're going to go points and rebounds. On PrizePicks, 19.5 is a little rich. I wish they would give us the 18.5, but if you wanted to go after the points, rebounds, and assists, I don't mind it. I think he will be heavily involved. He's been a really good scorer so far. Lauri Markkanen has the slightly better matchup, but Jordan Clarkson is a guy who popped in our model because he's been very consistent and has been very good over the past few games. Now, another guy I got to talk about is Clint Capella. You can see here, as the time I'm recording this around, noon or so, Clint Capella's points, rebounds, and assists are 20.5, and they're 22.5 on DraftKings right now with juice to the over. So we may still get that value, and it's important to point out that the Atlanta Hawks are playing Philadelphia again today, the team that Clint Capella just had 19 rebounds against just 2 days ago. He's had 19 or more rebounds in 3 of his last 4 games. So as much as I like the points plus rebounds, we're probably not going to get it. They're just going to give us the points, rebounds, and assists, which if Capella gives an assist, we will take it because chances are he probably won't, but he has been a monster on the glass, and like I've talked about, he has given Joel Embiid some fits over the years. He's had double-digit rebounds, I believe, in each of his last 6 games versus the Philadelphia 76ers, so it is a good spot. His rebound line on the books is around 10.5, slightly juiced to the under, so if you do like it at 10.5 at plus money, that is a bet I have taken and do like quite a bit. So Clint Capella is someone I think is worth taking, especially at the value. You see the standard dev is a little bit wide for him because he does have 1 game where he only put up 17, but in the other 3 of 4, he's been putting up 19 plus rebounds and been scoring in double digits. So he has been very productive in recent games for the Atlanta Hawks, and I think he can do that again tonight versus the Sixers. So then the other one I wanted to mention is Brandon Ingram. So Brandon Ingram does have a really good matchup tonight. So let's pull up the matchup for Brandon Ingram, and you see right here, these are courtesy of MySparry, DFS and Donuts on Twitter. Go follow Mitch. Go check out mysparry.com. Brandon Ingram has one of the best matchups tonight. You talk about Houston, who allows the 4th most points to 4th most 3 points made to small forwards in the league, and they allow the most points to small forwards in the league. His points line is a little bit high for me at 22.5, but one of the lines that isn't too high is his 3-pointers made at 1.5. You see, it is slightly juiced to the under, but as I mentioned, literally the 4th best matchup for 3-pointers allowed for the for Brandon Ingram tonight. So it is a good spot if you do want to take it. It's one that I will probably be playing on the books. I do have to shop it, but I am definitely considering it as part of my parlays. I think it's in a great spot. And like I talked about, the matchup is really good. The points are a little high for me at 22.5. I can kind of pull up if you want his consistency in that regard on PrizePicks. It hasn't been great. You know, the problem with this team is that they tend to really spread the ball around. And so that's where I'm not all in on that number. But if you wanted to go after the 3-pointers, he has been slightly more consistent. So as you can see here, he has hit this number in only 2 of his last 5 games. But if you do go to the 3-point number, I believe he's hit this one in 4 of 5. And like I mentioned, the matchup is good against Houston tonight. They tend to chuck it up a lot. And I think that Brandon Ingram will be open and able to exploit some of those matchups. Now, the last one, I got to talk about him again. I don't want to talk about him again, but it's just, I can't ignore the data. And that's the biggest thing here, and the reason why I like to show you guys why I'm talking about some of these plays. And it's getting back to Tobias Harris. Tobias Harris last time, he did not cash his over. He shot terribly. Honestly, a lot of Philly shot terribly, and they almost got blown out. Tobias Harris, power forward for the Philadelphia 76ers. The Atlanta Hawks still allow the 3rd most points to power forwards and the 2nd most rebounds. So Tobias Harris, yes, he did not get us last time, but he still has a good matchup. He still can go over. And it's not saying you got to take it, but just because he didn't hit last time doesn't mean he can't hit today, and it doesn't mean that the matchup isn't still great. He sold last time. I'll admit it. I touted him. I talked about him. He sold. But today, the matchup is good. So, again, just because he didn't hit last time, you can take the over. The data still supports it. He's still 4 or 5 over his last 5. He still was on a tear prior to this game. I still think he can take advantage of the matchup. He just shot very poorly, and I don't even believe he hit a single 3-pointer in that game, which he's been hitting 2 or plus consistently. So I do like Tobias Harris still. I still think the data is there. People are going to talk about Joel Embiid, who did go under last time, and I kind of talked about how Clint Capella surprisingly plays him very well and plays very well on the other side, on the offensive side, getting offensive boards. So Joel Embiid is someone you may see because, again, in terms of the actual data itself, where is Joel Embiid on this list? Yeah, the 5th most points to opposing centers, or 5th most 3-pointers made to opposing centers, but the points is kind of iffy. Capella has played him pretty well, and it's not a matchup that I overly like, but it's one that people may be looking at a little bit. Outside of that, I talked about Herbert Jones last time, how consistent he's been. He only scored 10 points, barely cashing the over for us. Now, tonight they do play Houston, so again, another up-tempo offense, one that he can exploit. I don't mind it, but I don't love it personally. He did score a lot in the first quarter, so if you want to maybe attack a first half, that may be the better play. Zion attacking that Houston front court is interesting. Again, not a play that I love, but it is one that people will be targeting a little bit. He's hitting 3 or 4. Just for me, that offense is unpredictable. Is it going to be CJ? Is it going to be Zion? Is it going to be JV? Is it going to be Brandon Ingram? Like, there's so many guys that can do a lot on the Pelicans. It's a very deep team with a lot of options. It's just not one I'm going after right now. But these are kind of the core plays I'm looking at overall. This is just kind of how I see it, how the data shook out, and ones I'm very much targeting. Again, Clarkson is kind of the tougher play because we're not getting it at 18.5. But if you like him to go over 20, he has been very consistent and going over that number quite a bit. The points, rebounds, and assists is slightly worse, but it is a clean matchup in terms of the same number on the books as we have on PrizePicks. So as always, thank you guys so much for watching. This is kind of the data that we're looking at, and overall, make sure you drop us a like and subscribe for future content. I talked about a few different plays, showed you the data to support it. I think the core play for me would be Clint Capella's points, rebounds, and assists if we can get it at 20.5. I do also really like Brandon Ingram over 1.5 3-pointers made. I think that both are great numbers. If you want to take Clarkson, there's a lot of data to support it. I like the points and rebounds best, which PrizePicks is not giving us right now. And if you are feeling a flex option, I think that Tobias Harris is still viable, even though a lot of people are going to say we can't trust him. He failed us last time, but the data is still there to support it. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one. Good luck tonight, and I'm out. Peace.